Hello and welcome to the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show live in the On Purpose Woman magazine and global community Facebook page. I'm Jenny Robertson, one of the hosts of the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, and I'm also the founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine and founder of the On Purpose Woman global community. My guest today is the other host of the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, and she's also a vibrant speaker coach, and that's Kathryn Yarborough. And we're going to be talking about speak like what you say matters. Hey, Kathryn.
Hi, Jenny.
We do this a lot, don't we? So it's like, what new can I say about Kathryn? But I am going to tell you a little bit about her for those of you who don't know Kathryn. As a vibrant speaker coach and manifesting clients mentor for women entrepreneurs, Kathryn Yarborough teaches her clients how to be the fullest expression of themselves, just like she's doing right there. Her clients become engaging, dynamic, and impactful speakers who attract clients. Kathryn is also the founder of the Manifesting Clients Academy, an inspirational speaker, and an author. And what's the name of your book, Kathryn?
Name of my book, which I'm getting out right now so people can see the cover, is Keep Moving Forward, a guide for the on-purpose solopreneur. You can get it on Amazon.
Get it on Amazon. It's a great book. Go there, read my review. Actually, not my review, my thing on the back, right? Yeah. Is it on the back? I don't remember. Is it inside?
It's on the back.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. Haven't looked at the back of it for a while, but it's a great manual. I love it. So go check that out. But today we're going to be talking about being a vibrant speaker and speak like what you mean, what you say matters. And I guess I want to start with asking you, what is a vibrant speaker?
Well, in my opinion, a vibrant speaker is one who allows their whole self to come through when they're speaking. We could say day-to-day conversation because we're always talking and speaking, but in this case, I'm more talking about people who are using speaking as a means to speak to a group of people, whether that's in person or online, on Facebook Live, on Zoom, wherever it is. And when we are vibrant speakers, we're being the fullest expression of ourselves. So our emotions come through, and we're also allowing ourselves to include our body, our face, our gestures, our whole being when we speak, so that what we say and how we say it is integrated and can be heard through the listeners, all their senses.
So if we do that, then the people watching and hearing us are going to buy into more what we're saying, because we're going to be speaking like it really matters to us what we're saying. Is that how we get to that place?
That is true. When we bring our full torso, our gut, our core into the conversation, what we're saying actually has weight. If we're sitting like this and we're talking with our head and we're just a talking head, that's a new term for me these days. It's not a new term. Talking head is not a new term. But if all we do is talk and we're in our head and we're not bringing forth our whole being, it doesn't have the same weight.
Okay.
So yes, we're being vibrant speakers, and every aspect of ourselves is involved when we're speaking. It's not like we have to be jumping up and down, but our whole being is communicating what we're saying, not just our words, not just our head, not just our lips. Then yes, it lands in a way, I think, for the listener, as if the person who's speaking really believes in what they have to say. And when a person who's speaking really believes in what they have to say, something happens in the listener. We hear it as if it matters.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great description. Thank you. So how did you get to this place? Have you always spoken like what you were saying mattered?
I don't think I've always spoken like what I say matters. And Jenny, you've known me for 21 years now, so you could probably answer that question for me. I'll say this, and then maybe you can say whether this is true or not. First of all, I think that I am gifted with a kind of natural confidence. I don't know exactly when I think I was born with a kind of presence and that includes a kind of confidence that comes out off of me when I speak. And I say that because when I was in high school, I did something with a club called Tri High Y where they did mock legislation. And I grew up in Florida, and I went all the way to Tallahassee. And I remember going there because me and a colleague, we represented our community, and we had a bill to have, I believe it was for people to wear seatbelts. And so we had to speak to that. And I think to get there, at some point I had to have some confidence. And it's interesting. I actually went on from there to nationals. I don't even remember. I'm just now remembering that these things happened because at nationals, this was interesting because it would have been around 1979, 1978, 1979-ish, probably 1978, boys took over. Mm. So instead of me standing in my power in nationals, which was in North Carolina, I got into a romance, which became the thing. And that was part of the challenge of being a young woman back in 1978, 79, career or guys. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, back to this, I didn't know that I had that sort of natural confidence. And I think I felt like, I know, throughout most of my adult life until recently, I felt like people didn't really care what I had to say, that they weren't going to listen to me, that it wasn't that I thought what I had to say didn't matter, but I did not believe that what I had to say mattered enough that I should speak up loudly enough to know that other people were listening to me, I think.
So it was different from being afraid to speak out. You had the courage to speak out. You had the confidence to speak out, but there was this other thing that said, I don't really think they want to know what I have to say. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I think that's probably true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know some people are afraid, but I didn't really have that fear. Every so often, I know sometimes my belly has gotten that little butterfly kind of feeling in a couple of situations, but not like I know some people really are like, oh my God, I can't stand in front of a room kind of fear. But no, I didn't have that.
It's supposed to be like the second greatest fear after dying is fear of public speaking for some people. So I do remember you in the early days of the On Purpose Woman Global community. You'd stand up and do a 5-minute, or you would sometimes you were the main speaker. And I always thought you were a good speaker. But now that you bring it up, I don't think looking back, you weren't always so full and engaged. It's like you knew what you were doing and you did it well because you weren't afraid to do it. But yet maybe there was this not quite a belief that the people in the room were going to really be interested. So you weren't really selling yourself in a bigger way, maybe. Yeah. That's really interesting because we all have our stuff where we come from. And I'm just think it's wonderful that you actually, because I think we all come in with that confidence and then it gets kind of pushed out of us, stomped out of us, shamed out of us, whatever. You managed to hold on to yours. So I think that's interesting. I'd like to maybe do a psychological study one day on how that happened, Kathryn.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll just say this. I was born in Japan to American parents, and I lived there for the first year and a half of my life. And I was taken care of by Japanese women who don't let you cry. And so they would always carry me around, and I was totally loved. Now, I think I had a trauma at 18 months when my family moved to Florida, and I was then stuck with my mother and my dad, I guess, but my dad wasn't around very much, but my mother and I are like oil and water. We don't get along, and she's never been the loving mother that I needed. But I guess maybe that first year and a half did something good for me.
Maybe it did. That's an interesting story. And I had no idea that you had been like a star in high school. Like it's almost like being on the debate team or something. So haven't heard that story before. So how did you then, I guess what made you start to realize that you could be a different type of speaker, that you could speak more like what you say matters? How did you come to that place?
Well, as you know, Jenny, not everybody knows this, but I joined Toastmasters 4.5 years ago. If anyone who is listening does not know what Toastmasters is, go to toastmasters.org. It's an international organization with clubs around the globe. Small clubs, approximately 20 members, average-ish in every club. And we meet weekly and you get to practice speaking, and they have relatively inexpensive training to develop your speaking skills. So I started going 4.5 years ago. And what I love about Toastmasters is you get feedback on practically everything you do. If you are the speaker, you get to speak for 5 to 7 minutes, and you're going to have an evaluator who's going to give you feedback and tell you some of the things you did well and some things you could improve. If you are the Toastmaster, the person who runs the meeting, there's a general evaluator who evaluates the whole meeting and tells you things that you did well or things that you could have done better. I mean, we are getting evaluated and feedback constantly. And in my club, it's an atmosphere, and I think a lot of clubs, probably most of them, it's an atmosphere of growth and support. So I learned within that first 6 months-ish that people were actually listening to me, Jenny. Mm-hmm. And because I was getting this feedback, even though I've been practicing speaking in the On Purpose Woman community, as you said, I've done stuff, there is not that feedback component that is part of the Toastmasters experience. And through that feedback and me hearing things about me, that I was bubbly, that I am effervescent, different positive things. It was like, oh, I am, oh, I am. And so I came to know myself. Mm. So that was a real important piece of the transformation. I came to know myself as a speaker, as a person who shows up and people are seeing and hearing me. And another thing, I have 3 things. Would you like to hear them about what's changed for me?
Yeah.
So at one of your meetings at an On Purpose Woman Global Community gathering a couple of years ago, there was a woman who came who I think is a speaker coach. I can't remember exactly. And at the time, I was exploring, why did I speak so fast? For me, an indicator that I have forgotten that what I have to say matters can be that I'm speaking really fast. Mm. Because it comes, that old habit of me speaking fast comes out of me believing that people don't want to hear what I have to say. So I've got to speak really fast to make sure that they actually hear it, because they're not going to sit around. They're not going to wait.
Get it over with, right? Really fast. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but now I also use speaking fast because sometimes my energy is up and I want to it gets the energy going in the room. So it's not always that I've forgotten that what I have to say matters. But I realized during that meeting, based on the conversation that happened, that I want to be present with people. And so I started practicing slowing down and really being present with who was in the room. And I've realized that beyond Toastmasters, people are listening to me. They do want to hear what I have to say. So I'm learning that what I have to say matters. And so there's this last piece, which is more recent, and this transformation that I've made in the last few months, where I'm now a vibrant speaker coach because I've put together pieces from my earlier years as a dance movement therapist with things I've learned through Toastmasters and my own speaking experience. I can teach people how to be the fullest expression of themselves when they speak. And that in and of itself is big, but there's this whole other level to the work that I'm doing with my clients where they're breaking free from their childhood conditioning, just like we're talking about, that I've done, that we can break free from that childhood conditioning so that we can be vibrant speakers and speak like what we say matters. And I think that matters. So I want to speak it and speak about it in a way that I'm honoring the material, the content.
Okay. Wow. So we've touched on this a little bit, I think, but why does it matter that we speak like what we say matters? You know, what happens? What doesn't happen? You touched on it a little bit. I want to go a little bit deeper with that. Why does it matter for an entrepreneur who she's doing her life work, she's doing her purpose work? Why does she need to do that?
Well, I'm going to share a little story, and I hope Mia Zachary is okay with this. I had the pleasure yesterday of interviewing Mia Zachary on one of our Real Women, Real Purpose talk shows. If you did not watch it, please go watch it. It was, anyway, find Mia Zachary on March 14th, whenever you're watching this particular show. And we talked about her new book that is a very powerful book with a big message that's transformative for a lot of people, potentially a lot of people. I am very excited about this book. And she was speaking in this way about it with passion, and she was talking about, I believe at that point, the message of the book and the potential of the transformation that's possible. I don't remember specifically, but she was speaking with passion and this intensity, and I was just enthralled with everything. And then she did like this. I have to pull it in. And she said something like that. And I was like, no, Mia, please don't shut yourself down. And because what happens as a listener when someone does something like that, or apologizes, or doesn't prepare enough that their content comes out in a way that is meaningful, whenever we do anything that we're dismissive of what we have to say or what we're saying as if it doesn't matter, it impacts the listeners. It makes whoever's there not believe it matters. Yeah, Jenny.
Well, I'm going to say it's just such a great example of Mia, because the way you got when you were talking about how she was, I mean, you probably remember a lot of what she said yesterday. But you remember the energy that she had, you remember her enthusiasm, her vibrancy, right? It came through on a Zoom. So yeah. I think that's right there is just such a great sort of outpicturing, if you will, of what's possible when we believe in what we're speaking about. But I mean, we can believe in what we're speaking about and still not speak it in a vibrant way or like it matters. So that's why your work is so important, Kathryn, because we can believe all we want, but there's still skill involved and there's still work to be done to some, like you said, to get through past some of that past childhood stuff that can get in our way.
Right. Well, let me just say, hopefully Mia's okay with me saying this. I think she will be. But it was a great example of an externalization. She did this movement. She was like this, and then she did like this. And it's an externalization of what most people are doing inside of themselves. Most people don't even let themselves get to that place where their passion is coming out. And as you've heard me say, it hurts my heart to see people speak and not be the fullest expression of themselves, because I know it's because of childhood conditioning. It's not our fault. It's not your fault if you're listening to this and the way you speak isn't with the most aliveness that you could possibly bring forth. It's not your fault. You were trained. You were smart. You were intelligent. You were adaptable. You adapted to your external circumstances. As this movement and expression that Mia showed us externalized indicates that's what we were trained to do, to sit still, to close our mouths, to be good, to let the grown-ups speak, to not be full of ourselves, whatever. And So it's a process of breaking free from that, and it's doable, which is very exciting to me.
Mhm. That whole like stepping back and like, it's just like a diminishment all of a sudden. But what I heard in my head was settle down now, settle down. It's the same thing. So it's been done to us and we self-monitor and do it to ourselves. Yeah.
Exactly. So when I'm seeing people be talking heads and just talk like this and not allow their feelings to come through and not use gestures, not use facial expressions, not be their full expression, it hurts my heart. I'm acutely aware of it. For years, I've had to push aside that feeling and just ignore it because I actually didn't realize I know the answer. I know how to fix it, if you will, in quotes, fix it. That's not really the right way to put it, but help people.
What do you think is the most important thing that we start with? I mean, how do we start to shift that? I know you teach people how to do it. I want to talk a little bit about your program in a minute. But I guess awareness is the first step, right? That we have to know that we want to be a greater expression of ourselves.
Well, I think that that's true. No one is going to want to do my program, at least. No one is going to want to become a vibrant speaker without wanting to become a vibrant speaker. And as you were pointing to earlier, as entrepreneurs, we do need to speak about our businesses. We need to speak about our services and talk about what we do in a way that helps our potential clients know that we exist, find out, to recognize that they have the problem that we help them with or the goal that we can support them in achieving. So like right now in this conversation, if someone is listening who is an entrepreneur who also wants to attract clients with speaking, and they know that they're not being the fullest expression of themselves yet, and they're hearing why it might be valuable, that's what we all need to help our clients do. Hear that what we have to offer can be a solution to a problem that they have or help them move forward towards a goal. I might have gotten a little sidetracked there, Jenny, but.
Oh, I followed you. I think what you're saying is how important it is because we have important work. And to the extent that we hold ourselves back and aren't behaving, acting in such a way that people can hear what we're saying and get excited about it and actually make the decision, is it for me or not, then our gifts don't get to be expressed. We don't get to make our unique difference on the planet. We've got stuff that could be life-changing, right?
Right.
And so I think that's why you get so excited about this work, because you know that when you work with someone, you could be helping them to actually bring something really big out, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I like all the pieces of it. I like seeing a person unravel the childhood experience because that just, oh my God, that like helps me relax inside. And then to see them actually step into being the fullest expression of themselves, I start to feel a sense of expansion and joy. And then that next step of actually speaking about what they do in a way that people are listening. Since I just started doing this program a couple of months ago, I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't seen my clients do that, but I'm assuming I'm going to feel really good about that one too. So yeah.
Well, you said something a little earlier about, we do this in conversation as well as in a presentation, and we're going to talk mostly about the presentation piece of it. But it is important that we also be vibrant when we're having, I would say, an important conversation. I mean, you and I could just sit and chat, and we could be kind of like, just chatting and easy. And if we get excited, but we don't have to think about that. But if we're having an important conversation with someone and we want to make a point or make an impact, how do we do that the same way that we would if we were doing a presentation?
Well, that's a really good question. So I think that, if you're just talking to a friend, you're just talking to a friend.
Yeah.
If you're talking to a client or a colleague or a boss even, and you don't believe that what you have to say matters, then that can impact the conversation. But if you're talking to a friend or your life partner, if you don't believe that what you have to say matters, that changes the dynamics in the relationship. So I do think that to speak like what you say matters is important across the board, to believe that what you say matters. So I do have some notes here. So let me just see if let me see if any of this resonates. So if a person speaks like what she says matters in a conversation, she believes in herself and is confident, and she recognizes the importance of communication and speaks with the intent to communicate. And for me, communication has to do with the back and forth. So it's not all about that I'm dominating the conversation and you better believe what I have to say, as much as it is, okay, so I'm sharing here my perspective about why speaking like what you say matters. What do you think? And that back and forth, I think, happens when we believe that when I believe what I have to say matters, I'm also going to care about what the other person has to say.
Oh, I like that. I like that. And it leads to maybe a more honest conversation as well.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Have any more notes about anything you want to bring up that we haven't touched on yet?
Not about the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Anything else though?
Well, I want to piggyback. Well, so let's talk about if a person speaks like what she says matters in a presentation. She believes in her message. And I think that's important to really tune in to ourselves. What is it that I'm saying and why does it matter? Those are just questions to ask yourself before you speak anywhere. I want to do that more. I right before we started this, I thought to myself, okay, Kathryn, what's your intention? I want to prepare a little bit more even when I do interviews like this. Like, what do I want to make sure I communicate? What about it matters? What do I want people to get? Secondly, she prepares and practices. So especially if you're the main speaker, taking that time to prepare your content is huge. And there was a woman who I saw speak at an event a couple months ago, and she read everything. Like, I know I'm reading some notes here, but she read everything. Oh my God, 10, 15 minutes into this thing, which was 45 minutes, I thought, oh my gosh, I've got so bored because she wasn't involved and she was just reading this thing. So yes, she prepared some, but she didn't prepare enough to be able to speak with us.
Yeah, she wasn't feeling it yet.
Mm-mm.
And probably wasn't confident enough to think she could do it without notes. That's another thing I'm sure you run into, right? People think you have to memorize a whole talk, and you don't have to memorize the whole talk. You just have to know your subject matter and your key points and all of that. So say a little bit about that, about it's not about reading from your notes. It's not about ditching all your notes. It's not about memorizing anything. What is it about?
Well, so preparing a good presentation is a piece of being a vibrant speaker. In fact, I would say it's an important piece. So in order to be a vibrant speaker, we have to break free from that childhood conditioning. We have to reclaim our authentic vibrancy, which is the fullest expression of ourselves. And then we have to craft a good presentation. And when you craft a good presentation, I like to teach people to, number one, have a point that you want to get across that's going to run through everything that you say. So when people leave, they'll know, for example, that we're talking about speak like what you say matters, because it matters. And what is your point that you want to get across? And then you can craft what you're going to say based on communicating that point. Maybe it's a story. And so you don't have to memorize a story. My goodness, most probably you lived that story, or you know the story because someone else told you it, and you know what matters about it. So yeah, so you've got that. Then okay, so maybe you've got 3 things to say about how what you say matters. Well, practice them a bit. Practice what you're going to say. And I teach people the method that I'm teaching with the Speak With Your Body program. Once they've broken free from the conditioning and they've expanded their repertoire, is to brainstorm their content and then start speaking it while moving their bodies.
Mm.
So practice, and when you practice speaking and moving your bodies, you'll include your body when you actually present, and you'll discover what you really want to say when you practice. Because if you're using your whole body when you speak, you'll feel whether or not it has the meaning behind it, whether or not it has that feeling of mattering.
And my experience is when I'm in that and I move around the stage and and I use gestures and all that, my energy goes up, because we can bore ourselves if we're not careful. I mean, we can be that person who is just standing there being a talking head, and people are gonna feel it, even if they hear the words that we're saying and they maybe like the words, but they're gonna feel that we don't buy into it as much as maybe they think we should if we're talking about it. And so I think it lifts the vibration of everybody in the room when you're able to do all of that. But it takes confidence to leave the lectern, to actually walk away from it for some people, because that's where you might have a word or two written down. And so it's all about practice. It's all about practice is what you're saying. First, well, it's not all about practice. The practice comes after we get to that place where we've crafted the talk. This is such good stuff. Is there anything else you'd like? Well, tell us a little bit more about your program. Anything you want to say about the program that you haven't said yet? Like, how do people find out more?
Great. Thank you, Jenny. So first of all, it's 9 private sessions. And so it takes about up to somewhere between 2.5 months to 3 months to complete. And it's transformative. It's for entrepreneurs, and my preference is women entrepreneurs who are coaches, healers, energy workers, who have a message or who are on purpose, who want to make a difference in the planet. And so that being said, if you've heard what I've had to say or what we've talked about today and you're interested, what I recommend is that you schedule a complimentary consultation with me so we can talk about you and whether or not the program is a good fit for you. And reach out to me on Facebook. You can reach out to me and just message me and say, hey, I want to chat with you about your speaking program. And I'll know what you're talking about, and I'll send you a link to schedule a time to chat. So does that feel complete, or is there more?
The best way, is that the way you want people to reach out to you? Is it the best way?
Yeah, or you can email me. People can email me at Kathryn at manifestingclientsacademy.com. Kathryn, Kathryn at manifestingclientsacademy.com.
Thank you. And you have an Abundant Entrepreneurs Facebook group that they can also kind of get a sense of who you are.
Yes, it's called.
Did I say Abundant Entrepreneurs? I don't know where that came from.
It's old. Vibrant. Yeah, it's the Vibrant Entrepreneurs Facebook group. So Vibrant Entrepreneurs, yes. Come to the Vibrant Entrepreneurs Facebook group. And I have a new Facebook Live show every Wednesday, and you could be a guest on it. You can speak for 3 minutes, and I'll give you feedback about how you did. So reach out to me if you're interested in being a guest on that show.
Great. Thanks, Kathryn. Before I wrap up, is there any last word of wisdom, or it could be something you've already said? What do you think is the most impactful thing you want to leave people with today?
Don't apologize.
Period.
Well, yes, I'm gonna say a little more, but it can be a period. It's like that movement that I shared with people, that apology. I'm sorry for sharing my passion. I'm sorry for getting too expressive. I'm sorry I'm feeling something. Please do not apologize. And don't apologize for your words, and don't apologize for not being as clear as you could be. Don't apologize. Speak up. And the more you speak, the more practice you get, the better you will get, the better you will be, and the more you will speak like what you say matters.
I'm laughing, thank you, because I've become a big NCIS fan, and I've been watching it on. And that's when it gives his rules: is don't apologize. It's a sign of weakness. There are times in our life where I think we do need to apologize, but it has nothing to do with what we're talking about here today. But that's But I see he was trying to grow strong people on his team, and that's exactly what you're doing. You're growing strong people, strong women. So thanks, Kathryn. I appreciate it. And thank you for sharing all that great information. And thank all of you for joining us for the Real Women, Real Purpose Talk Show live in the On Purpose Woman magazine and Global Community Facebook page. If you love this interview and you want to share it with your friends, it will be on our YouTube channel in the next 48 hours. So go over to On Purpose Woman Global Community on YouTube, subscribe, and sign up for notifications. We have close to 100 inspiring, informative, and fun shows for you to check out when you watch our channel. We have 4 more conversations lined up for you in March and April. And this Thursday, I'll be talking with Veronica Gray about to reignite your life and live. So thanks again for watching the Real Women, Real Purpose Talk Show.